Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Last Line of Defense. In the last episode, we began our defense of Earth with 2 simple enough missions, earning us 4 promotions on 4 of our operatives, despite 1 minor injury. We also toured the Xcom main command and started on a few excavation projects as we prepare for bigger expansions in the future. The star of our team at the moment is Magdalena Porlak, with 8 kills over the last 2 missions, making her the obvious choice as team leader. Will she make it through, Doctor? Aye, she's just got a wee scratch on her abdomen, nothing to worry about. That Porlak needs to think about her teammates more than about her kills. I don't think that the problem lies in teamwork, it lies in the reason why they all fight. Of all of them, Porlak lost the most during first contact. Not only her family, but her whole unit, taken from her right before her eyes. I didn't know. It's okay, laddie. Only a few of us do. The commander will know if she's putting too much thought into revenge, but right now, she's the star of the show. The first things we'll be doing is a scan for activity. Now we've got an incoming council communication, which is a mission set up by the council themselves. It usually gives us a pretty good reward and chance of panic reduction in the place we'll be fighting in, as well as 2 scientists. Now Endo is injured, which means I have to take someone else, and I choose to go for Mohammed Suleiman because I want a national variety in my team, because that gives some bonuses with certain medals. Anyway, here we go for Operation Bleeding Prophet.
The Council believes Dr. Marizuki's research to be extremely valuable. They're requesting we escort him safely to the evac point. Big Sky will be in position to make the pickup at the other end of the facility. New objective
So this
received.
is the first, escort mission. We are going to be escorting a scientist through the map and try not to get him killed, as well as trying not to get any of our operatives killed. So the first things that we're going to be doing is just moving up to the openings of the room, going through each door, just setting up before going through the actual doors, because we don't want to trigger any aliens who are going to shoot at us before we're actually ready. One of the great things about this game is that it allows you to have the ability to just play at your own pace, because there's no time limit, unlike in the XCOM 2 where there's always a time limit on how many turns you have to complete an objective. This game, you can take it slow and steady, and the good thing about that is that you can play it at your own pace, despite players sometimes getting impatient. So the first thing we're going to be doing is taking Porlak. A little pause in the gameplay, so I have to forward it a little bit. And we're going to go through the door. We're going to open it up, and straight away we're going to see our first Thin Man. So he's just going to basically dive through a window and break it, which is pretty interesting. We're going to open both of the windows before we before we do anything. Opening doors doesn't actually cost an action, but you need to have not done all your actions to be able to do it. It's like, I guess you would call it a half action, but it's not quite that. So yeah, and we're just going to listen a little bit to what the scientist has, even though it's not really useful. What he says doesn't actually have any change on the game, and we're just going to run both of these people, Fournier and Suleiman, up to that area of the map. Now I want to run my guys out, but I also know that running them out will discover more aliens. As you can see there's a sectoid, just a loner, which is pretty interesting, the fact that both of these people have been loners and not actually part of anything. And I decided to just throw a grenade through the window, because that's an automatic kill, and I'm not entirely sure that I'm going to be able to kill that Thin Man. So throwing a grenade is a more obvious way and easy way to guarantee a kill, and I don't particularly want to be attacked by a Thin Man. Thin Men are very dangerous. And the next thing I'm going to be doing is running Porlak out into Overwatch to make sure that none of the other aliens that might pop up, or that sectoid if it does pop up, gets attacked. So now I'm going to consider with this scientist what I want to do. Either I rush him towards the finish line, so I'm going to possibly dash him there, but the fact that the sectoid is probably going to go there is a bad idea. So I try and put him where I just dashed him now, but I misclick as usual, which means I can't hunker him down, which isn't too bad. So this sectoid is going to shoot at Porlak and misses, mostly because he has to go through several bits of colour, but it's not too bad. Also, a Thin Man randomly appears from the sky, goes into Overwatch right next to Vargas, but an Overwatch shot from Paulak actually misses. This is actually her first miss of the series, which is pretty, interesting when you think that she's got 8 kills. But Vargas is going to get himself a very high percentage, 98% if you miss it. But he hits it right in the head, does a critical shot, 6 damage, and that kills the Thin Man. But it also expunges some air, some bad air into the air. Some bad air into the air? That makes sense. Some like poison into the air. I'm going to run Fournier up to the side of this so that she gets a flanking shot onto the sectoid, manages to get all the shots in, killing it thanks to another critical hit. That's 2 critical hits, that's incredible. I'm getting a lot of criticals. Yeah, because she's a heavy, she had a pretty good chance of killing it if she hit, and 72% is pretty high, so that's good.
The resources involved are staggering.
I'm going to choose to move the Paulak first, just to make sure that there's no enemies around, and if there are, I'm going to put it into Overwatch. Now there aren't any, so I'm still going to put it into Overwatch, of course. And I'm going to move the scientist into full cover by this tarp, assuming some kind of metal boxes. That actually didn't count as dashing, even though it said it was dashing, so I'm quite confused. And I'm just going to make him hunker down, or head down, because it's a civilian. Several of the bits where I threw the grenade actually just blow up at that point and just crash down, but no alien activity as such. The finish line is actually really far away. It's going to take quite a few turns to get to it. Luckily we have no time limit, as said before, and we notice another individual sectoid. It's very strange at this stage that there are only individual sectoids. Like usually they go into groups of 2 minimum, but here it just seems to have a lot of individuals, which is very strange. Now Fournier, I'm going to get her to dash to a better position because she can't really get to a position of usefulness with a normal move. I'm then going to get Vargas to move by the tarp next to the scientist, put him onto Overwatch, and with Suleiman, our rookie, I'm going to get him to dash really far ahead, try and see if he can see any enemies. Still can't see much. The scientist, I'm just going to get him to head down, don't want him to move up and potentially get shot. I want my operatives to be the ones closer by. The sectoid goes into Overwatch. Paulak is going to continue and possibly try and get a shot, but that's not going to happen. So I'm going to run Suleiman up. I want him to go and see what's inside the garage. So what I'm actually going to do is potentially move Fournier. I see if her rocket is good enough range, but the rocket doesn't seem to have that much range. Like compared to Xcom 2, which I played more recently, it doesn't seem to have a lot of range. So I move Fournier up, I dash her up to get full cover. Vargas, I'm going to move up as well, try and get good cover. I'm debating which bit to go to, but I decided to go for the bit that Paulak is on as well, even though that wouldn't get any shots onto the sectoids. It puts him into better cover and a better all-round potential to shoot things should it come to that. I move Suleiman up, I try and basically get shots on the sectoid, which I do have, but 25% chance hit isn't really good enough, so I put him into Overwatch. I could have thrown a grenade, but I didn't really want to destroy all that cover. I'm just going to, with Paulak, move her up, and I'm debating whether or not to run and gun, but I'm just going to choose to reload my shotgun instead. I've got enough people on Overwatch, and the sectoid just goes into Overwatch as well, so that turn wasn't exactly lost. So now I'm in a really good position to potentially attack the sectoid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow smoke. Now, I didn't realise that's how smoke worked at this point. I didn't realise that you had to do it on your people to get the defense bonus. I just thought smoke meant that you couldn't see through it. But in fact it just gives you a defense bonus if you're in it, not behind it. So my plan was to move Suleiman up so that the sectoid misses his Overwatch shot. Luckily he misses it anyway. I'm not entirely sure if that was to do with the smoke grenade. I'm pretty sure that wasn't. And then I threw my own grenade at the sectoid. I don't want to destroy the cover, so I just throw it slightly behind so it doesn't hit the tarps. And I kill the sectoid, earning Mohammed his first kill. Now at this point there doesn't seem to be any kind of aliens, so I'm just going to run up the scientist into full cover by this entrance. Now there's probably going to be aliens inside that, but I decide to just ignore that fact and hope for the best that they're not going to run through. There's actually a lone sectoid here in the middle, right next to the landing zone, or extraction zone I should say. Still don't know why they're all alone, but hey, what can you do? And then Fournier is going to go around this side by the garage. There doesn't seem to be any aliens in there, which is great, and the alien activity continues. Alien shoots at Porlak and misses. She hasn't been hit yet, which is great. There's not that much she can do though. In fact, I'm just going to run and gun to be able to do something. I'm going to turn the camera around so I get a better shot. Go behind the truck, hope to get a flanking shot on the sectoid, which I do. Gives me 100% to hit, so this thing is dead no matter what. And another critical hit, but 70% chance of critical is pretty high, so you can't really complain about that. I'm just going to move the scientist up, going to dash him up to full cover, hope that there's no aliens behind there, and luckily for us there are not. So next turn we will automatically win unless an alien just sort of descends from the sky in front and just like one-shots the scientist, but that never happens because if they come from the sky they go into Overwatch or they move around. They cannot do an action or a shooting action because that would be really unfair. So yeah, Vargas just going to move up. I'm going to move all of my operatives up, just making sure they don't get killed. Or that they take good positions just in case an alien does arrive, and in fact an alien does. A thin man up on the roof, as is normal, goes into Overwatch, which means I now cannot move my scientist without fear of him getting one shot. Luckily I can fire a rocket at him, which is exactly what Fournier is going to do. She takes up the rocket launcher, fires automatic 6 damage, breaks half of that up, half of the building, but doesn't really matter in the end, does it? We're just going to move the scientist straight into the action zone and finish the mission.
Thank you for coming to...
Having completed the mission, we come back to Xcom base. Our operatives all good and fancy. We get 2 promotions. Porlak returns to corporal. I decide to go for either tactical, well, I got the choice of either tactical sense or aggression, which confers plus 10 critical per enemy in sight, but I decided to go for tactical sense just because defense is really good. And Suleiman also upgrades to become a heavy, which gives him a rocket launcher as well. So a pretty good haul, and we also get an international service cross, which is the medal I was talking about at the beginning when I wanted racial diversity, or national diversity I should say. It's a really important medal. It gives a really nice buff to things if you have different stuff. Also, we get ourselves a lot of money, some panic reduction, and 2 scientists. So now we're just going to stand for activity, and we get our access lift, which has been completing. We're going to go into our facilities and excavate those 2 steam sites, which give us some ability to get some steam power, which will increase our power considerably more than anything else. So if we look at our events tabs, we've got quite a few things coming up in 3 days. You're going to see that the woman gets a bit ridiculous. So we complete our weapons, I can't remember what it's called, or something like magnetic weapons or whatever, which basically just give us a scope and also the ability to get experimental warfare, which will eventually allow us to make any kind of alien weaponry, which is exactly what we want. We want our weapons to be upgraded as fast as possible. Dr. Valen has a little bit of a confusion. Yeah, and a few things are happening, and then we get our first UFO contact. So we're going to scramble our Ravens to try our interceptor to try and take it down. Easy at first, gets harder over time, but our interceptor goes up into the air. It looks bloody amazing. Goes out, try and kill that UFO right over the United States. We're just going to establish the link, and then we basically just have to wait. So it's going to shoot us, we're going to shoot at it. They're pretty shit UFOs at the beginning of the game, so we take barely any damage, and it dies, and then everyone's really happy.
We have a confirmed kill on bogey 001. I repeat, the UFO is down. I'll copy, over.
Solid copy, Voodoo 37. Nice work. Central out. Alright, people. Retask Recon Satellite Bravo and get me a visual on that crash site.
She's coming into range now, sir.
On screen. Magnify. Still in one piece. Commander, I recommend we get a strike team to the crash site immediately.
So now that the UFO is down, we can send the Sky Ranger to go and send our men in, go take over the alien spacecraft and kind of get loads of good loot from it. So Suleiman is a squaddy, a lot of people are squaddies, but we're actually going to get Endo back because we want our sniper. We've already got our heavies. So the original team is back, and hopefully you're going to get a good amount of kills and stuff. Just going to launch a mission, and off we go to the United States.
This is Big Sky. We're just north of the crash site. Strike 1 is in position to engage.
Loud and clear, Big Sky. We'll monitor those readings from here. Strike 1 is authorized to assault the alien craft.
And assault it we will. We sort of landed in a farm, which is pretty good. A lot of cover around, which is great. The other places it can really crash is kind of foresty or swampy, or there's a lot of differences. But we're going to go into the farmhouse first. I can see a meld canister already, or I've spotted one. Not that my men have, but I mean it's a bit obvious when it's like that. I'm also going to get Endo to actually climb up on top of the roof of the barn. And I can see in the distance as well. She spots the meld. In the distance you can see some burning trees as she did that action shot. During the alien activity, no one is spotted, so what we're going to do is just move Polak up to go towards the barn, see what's there, and there are 2 sectoids just, doing their thing, protecting their meld. And we're going to see if we can shoot it. Not a good position, so we're just going to get our Overwatch on. Fournier, however, can't really get a good shot at this point, so we're just going to skip to Vargas, see if we can get a good thing. And it seems to me at this point that I won't be able to shoot them this turn, so I'm just going to move my people into a better position to be able to shoot them eventually. I'm also going to I'm attempting to get Endo into this barn, but it's very hard to. Like, the control system of this game is a bit dodgy when it comes to floors. Because you have to be scrolled onto the right plane, and because there's several floors you have to, it's just really complex. But we managed to get a pretty good shot on them, a really good position to get a grenade. I'm trying to get both of them, and then I managed to, so I'm just going to throw a grenade down, break a lot of boxes, but explode both of them, so it's okay. Set the barn a little bit on fire. And since I wasn't able to get any hits on any of the people that turn, I decided that just to throw a grenade and kill them both wouldn't go amiss, and probably be better than let them shoot at Endo at that point. In activity, there is still no one around, so we're just going to get Fournier to collect that meld, which she does very quickly, and then she's going to rush to the side of the barn to try not to get burnt. Try and see if there's anyone else, but there isn't. Vargas seems to be on the other side of the map completely, like really on the map edge, so we're just going to get him to move up.
Okay.
And he's going to move next to that silo, go into Overwatch, because I've seen and spotted the spacecraft, which is actually to the left, which is great. It's actually a very small craft. I'm used to seeing bigger ones, considering the fact that I've already played through this. But yeah, put everyone on Overwatch, get ready to shoot at some aliens that might be going through. They seem to be crashed pretty badly. I don't expect to have any more heavy resistance. Having killed 2 sectoids, I probably expect another set. In fact, we spot the outsider. It was big, taller than any man, though not by much. Compared to the small sectoids, this thing actually made me feel scared, uncomfortable. This wasn't just any alien. This guy was important. This guy meant business. Luckily, Polak was there to show it that we too meant business. The outsider spotted. It runs to get cover in the ship, right into the line of fire of Polak, who decides, you know what, 57%, let's try and shoot it, and it manages to kill it with 5 damage straight away. So much for our first look at the outsider. Fournier just kicks down a door, tries to see if there's anyone around, goes into Overwatch just in case there is someone around. The fact that the battle hasn't ended despite the outsider being killed means that there's definitely some more aliens around. So I'm just going to move Vargas up. I kind of realize at this point that I probably shouldn't have dashed that, but didn't see any aliens around. No one's actually going to go into Overwatch, which is kind of a shame. I was debating at that point whether or not I should put Endo down, but she wasn't really doing anything, so I'm just going to put her next to those boxes, and I'm actually going to dash her forward to go right next to Polak. before the aliens show themselves. Alien activity, not much happens. We're just going to move Porlak up. I'm actually going to move Vargas to get towards the meld as fast as possible. See if I can find the enemies first. I need to put him into range of that in 4 turns. So I've got plenty of time, but I just kind of wanted to see what was inside the ship for now. It doesn't seem like there is anything, which means that the aliens could be anywhere, either behind it or more towards the right. I'm just going to move Endo up. And then I move Fournier. I haven't put Endo into Overwatch yet because I don't want, like, if I can shoot someone later on, then I might as well. I move Fournier down, and there's the final group of sectoids, just 2 of them. They're just going to run behind cover very quickly, and Fournier is not actually going to get a very good shot at them. She can't fire her rocket because, of course, she's moved, so she's just going to go into Overwatch. Endo is going to do the same. Actually, no, she's not. She's going to hunker down, not even going to change to her pistol. I don't think I've realised at this point that I can choose the pistol. Actually, that's probably why. Porlak is going to go into Overwatch as well, just in case. But now we know where the other aliens are, so next time we'll be able to take them down pretty quickly. One of them does a mind melt with the other to get it buffed. And then this one tries to shoot at Fournier and misses, which is very lucky. Porlak's going to move up. I'm going to run and gun, although I'm not entirely sure whether that will do any good, to be honest. So I'm just going to run as fast as I can towards cover. I decide to move towards that door, which counts as a hard block line of sight as well, which is pretty cool. That gets me pretty bad shots towards them, and I can't throw a grenade, which I think is awful, but I'm still going to trust my luck. You know, 45%, you never know with Porlak, and that does 3 damage. Not enough to kill it because I aimed at the wrong guy, to be honest, but still 3 damage on a 45%. Not going to complain too much about that, considering only 47% chance to hit on these guys. So I'm going to fire a rocket at them because I am in range, and I thought, you know, 2 kills, why not? Fire the rocket, kill them both, end of the mission, in the bag. That's how it's done. Having gone back to base, we see that Fournier actually gets a upgrade for that. So she either gets holo targeting or Shredder. I decided to go straight for holo targeting. It's a really nice thing to have, especially since it activates in Overwatch, or just if you shoot generally, or suppression. We get some good upgrades for that, and a lot of bidooty bang. We also get our 2 medals. Now, we got 2 urban combat badges to give, an award that gives 5% when in high ground, so I'm going to give it to Hitomi Endo, our first medal receiver. Good salute there off soldier. I was about to say officer, but she's not quite an officer yet. Not going to award the other one, and we got the International Service Cross as well, which we're not going to assign a power or give to anyone yet because I don't feel like it should be. We're going to scan for activity, just going to get our things up, try and get a lot of research done, which we do. We got experimental warfare, which allows us to get a bunch of Reaper rounds. We get some Foundry, which is so useful. We get the Phoenix cannon upgrade for our interceptors, and we also get a flashbang grenade. Some of those we'll never use because they're really crap. We also get the ability to make beam weapons, which we're not going to do. We're actually going to go for the priority alien object subject research. There we go. Because I think it's the most important. And we've also got a foundry to build, but first we're going to build a thermo generator. We have enough money to do that. And it was at this point I was like, should I go for it or should I go for the foundry? And I decided to go for the thermo generator, just because having a lot of power very early on is really good. And we don't really have enough money or enough engineers, in fact, to build a lot of this thing. So there we go. That's what's going through my mind. We're just going to go back to the mission control, and we're going to scan for more activity. We've got satellites going up in 3 turns,
Commander,
and in fact they are completely done. So there we go. Go and see if we can buy or build any more items. I'm kind of looking around, like Reaper round, should I rebuy it? Scope, medkit, you know. I think at this point I would go for the scope and the medkit, one of each. The scope definitely for Endo, just so that she gets an incredible aim bonus. I always put scope on my snipers just because it's the best thing to go for, and I don't have enough money to make a medkit. And as you can see, we get a little cutscene.
You're telling me that we should risk the lives of our troops so we can take one of these things alive?
Yes. Without a live specimen, I'm afraid we've reached the pinnacle of what my team is able to accomplish.
And how do you suggest we do this, Doctor?
The autopsy I've just completed confirms that the alien's physiology is quite similar to our own. A highly concentrated electrical current delivered at close range should cause
Close range? And what happens if it doesn't work? Do you really think this is worth the risk?
I do. We do not know our enemy. How can we hope to stop something that we do not understand? If we can capture one of these creatures alive, we may be able to communicate with it.
And interrogate it. Find out what they want. Where they're operating from.
Yes. That possibility outweighs all risks, in my opinion. I can construct a safe enough facility to house our captive, but I do not know how we could possibly communicate with it.
Not to worry. I will see to that.
All right. I'll speak to the commander.
That's right, you'll speak to me. So we've completed xenobiology. We can now interrogate, or build an interrogation chamber anyway. So that would be great. We also make the arc thrower, which is a priority material, but I decide, nah, that's probably not the thing that I should probably go for. In fact, I'm going to go for the meld recombination, so that I can use that meld to make 2 new things, either the mech chamber or the psionic chamber. We got our thermo generator. Ooh, look at that steam. It's so hot, it's so good, gives us a fuck ton of power, which is great.
Thermo generator online.
Thermo generator all done. We're going to see what facility we can build, and with 13 credits, probably none. We can't even excavate because it costs so much to do so, so we're just not going to do anything with that money. Unless I'm going to excavate that, I'm going to actually spend it to excavate that. So more excavation options for later. Might as well invest in them now, it means we don't have to invest in them later. And then the satellite project has been completed,
We are ready to deploy it on your orders.
so that we can deploy some more satellites, which would be good, but we're not going to do that yet because we don't actually have enough uplink stations. And then we get some alien abductions, either in Nigeria, Mexico, or Japan. And Japan gives us engineers, which is exactly what I kind of want right now, so we're going to choose to go for Nagoya, Japan. We will be doing this mission with this team next time.